Hello, my name is Sekani Brown. I wanted to welcome you to History 31, African-American history since the Civil War, since 1865. This will be a quick message. I want to make it just to kind of get us started. Things will become more clear as we move forward, but I thought this would be helpful to get you started on our first week or so. First and foremost, our class begins with the Civil War. History 30 is actually the first part of this course that covers up to 1865. So if you're looking for another class, you can look for that one. But we begin essentially with emancipation and Reconstruction. And so you'll see that in the next week to 10 days, we'll get into those topics. We jump into things pretty quickly, so that's why I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. And hopefully by the first week or two, you'll see how things are starting to come together. Um, some of the things I like to do in terms of teaching history might be a little different. So I think you'll get used to my style, beginning with the first week's activities, assignments, and such. I think there will be things that you will enjoy. So come in with an open mind. There are a number of assignments we jump right into, smaller assignments to kind of get us going. But I want you to make sure to stay on track. The best way to do so is to use the Canvas site modules and announcements as kind of your basis for the course, along with the overall syllabus, which is kind of an overall roadmap for the class. But it's subject to modification. I like to make changes based on our pace and how we're doing and personality of the class and as things arise. So I will always update you about deadlines and things in the weekly modules. For example, in the week one module, that you'll see here in a moment, the first page will be a module objectives with a list of questions for the week, a list of the assignments and deadlines and such. So take a look at that. I also will use the announcements page to stay in contact with you since we are not meeting in person. This is a new experience for some, but the best way to stay in contact is for me to use the announcements, which also gets pushed to your college email account. So if you don't check your email daily, you need to start checking your email daily as well as checking in with the Canvas site. In terms of the textbook, you'll see it listed. It's Freedom on My Mind, Volume 2, second edition. There are a couple of editions of the book, so I want to make sure you get the right one. Take a look at the syllabus information and the ISBN number. There is an electronic version of it as well, but it's Volume 2. Volume 1 will not help you for this class. Volume 1 corresponds with History 30, not History 31. So you want Volume 2. And it's the second edition. The first edition is close, but there are some differences. So the second edition is the preferred one. If you happen to have the first edition, we might be able to make it work, but there will be some issues with page numbers and maybe some of the questions don't line up and things as well. So Volume 2, second edition is preferable. There's not a whole bunch of reading, but it's a decent amount of reading to keep pace with during our shortened semester. Remember, especially in this 6-week turnaround, things happen quickly. So a lot of the pressure is going to be on you to kind of maintain a pace. Right? Maintain a pace. There's really no downtime in a shortened session. In addition to readings, and you'll first notice that our first two readings do not come from the textbook. I'll make some mention of that in a second. But in addition to readings, I will use a lot of visual sources, beginning with the first week. So you'll notice that we use a number of types of sources to arrive at an understanding of African American history. That is intentional because I think that knowledge comes from a wide variety of sources. And so we're going to use a variety of visual materials as well, videos, apps, video lectures that'll update the Canvas as well, discussions, debates, all sorts of sources, music, lyrics, beginning with this week that I want you to take a look at. So again, in terms of the overall course, the main thing is consistency, right? Continue to read. If you can maintain your reading, you will be in a good position for the class. I will provide a study guide before the first exam. So if you're caught up on the reading and you get that study guide, you have the ability to prepare for the assessments much more effectively than if you're trying to play catch up at the very end. So do your best in terms of that. And also, there are a number of types of assignments. So if you're strong in one area, maybe you're not so strong in another, you have the chance to balance your strengths and your weaknesses by consistently completing assignments on time. I'm kind of starting to crack down on things being on time, as you'll notice in the syllabus and on various places. In terms of getting us started, right, this overall introduction is useful, but I also prepared separate videos on our first two readings. So I want you to take a look at those in the week 1 module. Our first two readings are from Benedict Anderson. It's a PDF file that I provided to you on Canvas, and Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point. So Imagine Communities by Benedict Anderson and Malcolm Gladwell, Tipping Point, are the first two readings. I want you to read these critically and quickly, meaning I want you to get through them. Don't get bogged down too much with any difficult language, because what we're going to do is we're going to take these two readings and we're going to apply them to the history in front of us for the rest of the semester. So these are going to be our tools, but they may not make complete sense until we start to use them. Neither of these writers is really writing about African-American history, but we're going to take the concepts they provide us with Imagine Communities and Tipping Point, and we're going to use it to unpack African-American history specifically. So again, it'll make more sense as we actually do it, but don't get bogged down, don't get frustrated with it. And we're actually going to begin with the most difficult reading, although it's short. It's the most difficult reading, in my opinion. It's Benedict Anderson's Imagine Communities. What we're going to do is work through that, read it quickly, get the main ideas, and we're going to use a discussion board to kind of discuss it and make sure we're clear about what the main points are. That's the very first assignment that we're doing. In addition, this first week module, you'll have a video assignment based on the video Ethnic Notions with some corresponding questions to complete. You'll have a couple of song lyrics I want you to listen to, a brief video called True Colors, and a discussion board that ties all that together. And then the last assignment for the week is going to be Chapter 8 of the textbook. Right, the first chapter in the textbook is Chapter 8 on Reconstruction. By the end of the week, I'd like you to have read Chapter 8 and answer the Chapter 8 chapter review questions, which I believe are on page 330. They're towards the end of the chapter, not the very end of the chapter, but they're towards the end, and I placed a copy of them on Canvas. To submit assignments, there are drop boxes. You can turn them in on Canvas. Everything is submitted via Canvas, so there'll either be a link in the module, or you can go directly to the assignments or to the discussion tab to participate. I know that's kind of a lot of information in 8 minutes, but I thought it would be helpful to at least get us started. You should be noticing things opening up in terms of the week 1 module in a few moments. But first and foremost, I wanted to welcome you to the class. We're going to have a good time this term. It'll go quickly, but we'll have a good time with the material, I'm sure of that. Some of the topics will be difficult. From time to time, some of the sources I use may have language that might be offensive or violent images. I want to give you a heads up about that ahead of time if possible. But I want to use them for our intellectual purposes to unpack this history. So we're going to have a good time, discuss with each other, debate with each other, disagree at times. That's all okay. All right, look forward to getting started with you. Thanks.